and welcome. My name is Margaret. I'm a historical costumer and textile conservator in training, and today I wanted to do something fun. Since it's around Halloween, I thought it would be a great time to talk about Victorian fancy dress. Now, Victorian fancy dress and Halloween costumes are two kind of different things. From my very sparse research that I did on this, and granted it was like 5 minutes of Googling, so please tell me if I'm wrong, Halloween parties as we know them kind of started in the 20s and 30s, where people would go and dress up and really celebrate the holiday in the way we do today. Of course, people were celebrating the holiday before that. Many immigrants to the United States from Ireland and other parts of Europe were taking these traditions with them when they came to the United States, but the Halloween party as we know it today didn't really exist until the 20s and 30s. However, the late Victorians had their own way of doing dress-up parties, and they were called fancy dress balls. These are extravagant events in which the rich and famous would dress up in ridiculous costumes to come and just party the night away. A lot of these people dressed up as mythological characters or historical figures, many of those dresses actually being historic garments. And we can talk about that at a later date, but today I'm really interested in the weird ones, the wacky ones, the head scratchers. And today I wanted to go through and rate some of those with you. Now, I will say there are also fancy dress plates, fashion plates that you can find in magazines, and I do have one. This is my only one that I have, which is fancy costumes for the ladies' friend, probably 1860s or 1870s. I just absolutely love this. My favorite one, and it's just a little extra, is this lady who is dressed up as a Scottish battleship. Like, why? I want to go as a Scottish battleship. Granted, it's just, oh my god. Why? We're going to be asking that a lot today. So this first one we're looking at, beautiful bat costume, which is amazing, and you're probably like, Maggie, it's a bat costume, it's pretty standard. But think about it. This may not be Halloween. This is someone who's invited you to a very expensive, fancy dress party. And you said, I want to be a bat. I want to show everyone that I'm the queen of darkness, and I want to put on wings and flap around as a bat all night. It's very 19th century Sophia Nygaard, and it's adorable. I think these are so cute. I love it. It gets 4 out of 5 pumpkins. Spooky jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. Because it is Halloween here, okay? The next one we're gonna look at is actually a pretty famous one. This was worn to the Vanderbilt ball in the 1890s. I think this might have been worn by the actual Mrs. Vanderbilt herself. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But she went as the concept of electrified light. Now, this dress is gorgeous. It's beautiful, it's shiny. I'm pretty sure it's designed by a very famous designer. But I don't know if I would walk in and I'd be like, I get it, you're electrified light. Although this costume is very on theme with the Vanderbilt. It's very like late 19th century financier, industrial magnate to me, and therefore it's on theme. So I think I'm gonna give this 4 out of 5 pumpkins, just because it is so pretty, just because it does give off the right vibes. But I still think the theme could have been elucidated a little bit better. So there's, weirdly enough, a lot of costumes that revolve around sort of paper and like this idea of paper and clothing. I think there's something to be said about that. I don't know. Coming from a conservation world, textiles and paper conservators are pretty closely knit when we're working with cellulosic materials. Anyway, this lady went as a scrapbook. I love this costume. I think it's very pretty. Again, it's like, is it too pretty? Like you're going as a scrapbook. If I were to go as a scrapbook, I'd definitely do something a little bit more undone, a little bit more scrappy, because I don't know about you, but like my scrapbooks are just like stuffed in folders at this moment. My mother's scrapbooks are beautiful. So this is very like suburban mom of the 1880s scrapbook fancy dress costume. But like going as a scrapbook is also super hilarious to me. I'm gonna give this one 3 out of 5, just because as far as like paper costumes go, It's not particularly my favorite. I do think it's a very pretty dress, but again, we're not going for pretty, we're going for ridiculous. Now this next costume is possibly my favorite Victorian fancy dress costume of all time. This person went as a wastebasket. There's so much to unpack. So much to unpack. So first off, it's wonderfully 1890s with the beautiful gigot sleeves made out of scrap paper, which claps, beautiful. Then she is dressed in what we can assume, I don't think this was ever made into an actual dress, but she is dressed in what we can assume is some sort of metallic looking trash can dress. And I just don't know what this says about the person. Like, how do they feel about themselves? Do they feel that they are, in fact, trash? Because that is not good. But also, so chef's kiss. I love this. I love you late Victorians for being like, yes, I'm going to a fancy party and I'm going to dress as a waste paper basket. This gets 5 out of 5 pumpkins. By far. 5 out of 5 for this one. I love it. I love it so much. I love it. It's beautiful. Don't let anybody tell you not to go for your dreams. You could be anything you want to be, including a waste paper basket. Now going on our sort of paper theme that we've been going down here for a minute, this woman went as a newspaper. This is an actual fancy dress worn in Australia in the 1890s, and it is glorious. These are actual newspapers that she put on here, which is like a weird fancy paper mache project. Again, if you're like, I'm going to a really fancy party and I'm going to dress as the newspaper, wonderful. Absolutely gorgeous. 4 out of 5 pumpkins. I think that it's a little literal, but it's gorgeous and it's great and I love it. Now the next set of 2 is a fashion plate. We have this wonderful lady who's going as what I can only assume is a lobster or a lobster trap. And then we have this lady who is dressed up as a seagull on top of a ship. I love these both. They're both a very strong look. Going as a lobster is, I mean, it was amazing when Elsa Schiaparelli did it. It's amazing here. I love like the moss and like the seagrass situation that sort of trims the bodice and the swag and the hem. It's like disgusting and beautiful. Oh my god, if it was made of like a gross green chenille with those little red lobsters, I hope they're made of wax. I love when we put wax things on dresses. I don't know. Like that would be glorious. And then we have this lady who is dressed as like a seagull nest. I'm not entirely certain, but she's got a full, what I imagine is a real seagull, a real taxidermied seagull on her head. And then she has like half of a seagull here, and like on her swag, holding up her swag, she has another, what I assume is a taxidermied seagull in, you know, on like her little, holding up her swag, and she's got these cute little shoes. And I love this. Both of these get 5 out of 5 pumpkins because they are both disgusting, beautiful, you know, creative, ridiculous at the same time. This is everything I want in a Victorian fancy dress costume. It's not pretty, you know, it's ridiculous. Also, would wear these. Might need to make the lobster one. Now the next one is actually a photograph. This man won a costume contest for coming as a rack of ribs. Just kidding, a side of bacon. This is going for it. This is so literal, it like turns again into being abstract. I don't know what he made this out of. I'd love to know. I'd love to talk to this man and be like, what did you make your costume out of, sir? Because this is the 1890s, 1894 to be exact. This is the most, this is going for it. This gets 5 out of 5 pumpkins. You know, again, so literal that it turns abstract again. And I love the hat. I love the addition of the hat. Now this is a little bit later. This is the 1920s. So this is a costume you might actually wear to a Halloween party. And this woman went as a crossword puzzle. Again, I love like the newspaper, paper literary theme we've got going on here, but it's also like fun and like board game. I love this square hat. I don't really know what that's getting across, but it's wonderful. The cape, the crossword cape, okay? Can we just, it's wonderful. And then we have this weird peplum going on, and we have this like short little crossword dress. I love it. I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5 pumpkins. This one's great. I love this one. Going on our like game board situation, we have this fancy dress designed by Charles Frederick Worth. And this lady is I think just like the spirit of board games. I think the crossword one is better because it really sticks to the theme. And I love a theme. I really love a theme. And I love when people stick to that theme. So this one, again, it's a bit too pretty. She's got dice along her hem, she's got the backgammon board, and then she's got chess on her sort of outer skirt. And I would have liked to see, all chess, maybe all backgammon. Maybe this person really loves playing bridge. I don't even know how to play bridge. I would have liked a little bit more sticking to theme, and for that, I give it 3 out of 5 pumpkins. It is gorgeous, it's Charles Worth, but stick to the theme. Now, there are also a lot of transportation sort of situations going on. So we have this lady who's dressed as a dirigible, or a blimp. I don't really know, dirigible, blimp, whatever you want to call them. And it's glorious. It's absolutely glorious. This one gets 5 out of 5 pumpkins, just letting you know right now. So one, she has a blimp bisecting her hairstyle with a laurel wreath. I don't know why we need the laurel wreath. Is this like a champion of blimps? I don't know. And she has this, this is probably early Edwardian, so think 1905. She has this tight-fitting, ruched, very Kim K, blimp dress on with little blimp fins hanging out of her hips. And then she has this beautiful patterned underskirt of blimps in the air. If you didn't know what a blimp was, they're showing you what a blimp is on this skirt. This is going for it. This is wacky. This is wild. This is what I want in a Victorian, or in this case, Edwardian, fancy dress costume. Wonderful. Now, again, with movement, transportation, we do have our battleship lady. Again, love a scholarship battleship lady. But this woman went as a carousel. Again, this is a little bit later, Edwardian. A carousel. I love this. So first off, she is using the styles of this second decade of the 20th century. The big picture hat is the canopy of the carousel. And then this beautiful sort of sheath dress style has become the carousel. I would love to have seen this in action. I can just imagine she's got hoops on underneath. I don't know. It's glorious. I love this. 5 out of 5 pumpkins. So for our final and last one, we're going to circle back around to the Vanderbilt ball. And have I got a treat for you. This lady, whose nickname was Puss, dressed as a cat, but not any cat. She has a wonderful cat collar that has her nickname Puss on it, which is just so weirdly BDSM in a way. It's kind of great. And then she has what I can only assume is a real taxidermied cat atop her head. Okay? Rest of the outfit, probably just some frou-frou gown. But this headpiece up here, this hat, this cat hat that's going on, it's a lot. I think they have matching collar situations. I don't know. 4 out of 5 pumpkins. This could have been taken to a ridiculous extreme. It was already taken to a ridiculous extreme. So I hope you enjoyed that romp into Victorian fancy dress, and I hope it gave you some inspiration about what you might be for Halloween this year. I started my Halloween costume in June, I know, but I'm really excited about it. Additionally, if you were invited to a Victorian fancy dress ball, what would you wear? I think I would be the lobster lady. I think that just involves a lot of wonderful trim and accessories that I could jazz up. I don't know. That's just me. Anyway, you can find me here every weekend, Saturday or Sunday, here on Costume and Conservation. You can click the link down below. I don't always do these types of videos. I talk about costume and conservation. It's in the name. And I also am going to show you my new sewing project coming up in the next couple of weeks. This is very exciting. So if you don't want to miss that, hit the subscribe button down below, like this video if you in fact did like it, leave a comment telling me what would you dress up as, because I'm honestly I'd love some other ideas for Victorian fancy dress costumes. They're wacky and wild. You can also follow me over on Instagram at Costume and Conservation, and on TikTok at Costume and Conservation as well. And if you don't want to do any of that, that's totally fine. I just hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!